I grew up in a household where I was surrounded by art. My uncle was an artist who then decided to be a teacher. My grandmother would buy me clay. When it came to the opportunity presented itself to study fine art, nobody said no. So, that's where it all began. I am using different medium. I'm primarily a performance artist, but I believe every object and everything that you create can perform. So a video performs, a photograph performs, and sculptural objects and installation perform as well. So I come up with an idea and I figure out how best it works, because mediums can also feed into each other. You could, per se, put a sculpture in front of a video piece that was made specifically for that. Then what do you call it? It's not a video exclusively, but it's not a sculpture exclusively. There's a meeting ground for those two things. So I like to remain fluid. I don't like to be put in a box. It's always home. Always home. It is how I grew up, all my journeys, how I see the world perspective, because whether we like it or not, artists are not objective people. You choose a particular subject based on the interest that you have in it, which means it's always subjective, it's always personal. So for me, it's generally how I grew up, how I'm living every day as a Black woman, and how the world engages with my body in spaces, and how the world engages with other Black women and how they grew up in the spaces that we occupy. So, it's a constant battle between how we see things, how we look at things, and how we are seen. So it's society, socioeconomic ideology, socio-political ideology, and just basically the umbrella for it all, for me, has to do with the spiritual element of living as a Black young woman. I see things differently to how you might see things, right? And the only way for me to know that you'll see it similarly to how I see it is if I'm honest about the way that I'm working. So I always try and make the work very, very honest, so that the honesty comes across to you, the viewer. And in that way, you are free to interpret it in any way that you want. I think that every artist has a social responsibility. That is the most important thing. We have a social responsibility to make a point about the society we're living in, the times, the problematic issues. I'm immersed in the society that I speak about, and that is very important. My body signifies certain things. And so the whole work is emblematic about the kind of society that I live in, and tries to employ materials that are used in particular ways in those spaces.